What's up, guys? How you doing? This is Kyle Velasquez, back at it. It's been a minute since I posted anything or got a chance to sit and talk with you guys, but wanted to make sure that I got this in. Life has just been crazy. We had kids camp and everything while I was a counselor. Honestly, it was great. It was a great experience. Really love to see what we got to do. Just kind of like letting the kids be kids and experience things and seeing them worship and hear about Jesus and all of the things like that. And my wife and I celebrated our 14th anniversary while we were at camp, and then always goes right into her birthday and things like that, and then just all the other things that come with ministry and stuff, which most people don't tend to see when they go to church on Sunday. They don't tend to see, all the stuff that goes behind the scenes of a church. And that was one thing that I'd say over the last couple of years, probably learned the most, even though I've been around and in churches for a long time, just not really involved to this capacity, and seeing what kind of goes on to make Sunday happen, anywhere from like an administrative standpoint to a housekeeping and groundskeeper standpoint, taking care of the building, worship team, effects slides, like counseling and talking to people outside of church on Sunday, and just all these things that go into making a church run and operate, but also doing the extra things like kids camp, and recently changing jobs. I recently switched my job to working at a local shelter that also has a focus on evangelism and things like that. And so that has been great. And there's so much that goes into this walk as a Christian. And I remember having recently a conversation with one of the guys who I was talking to, and he is just kind of like on fire. He's getting into his faith, and he's really like I want the next step. And I think sometimes we outrun like the amount of I don't even know, energy we have, or something like that. I often think of it like you have this moment where you decided okay, I want to be a Christian. I want to live my life for God. I want to do all these things. And you just want to do everything. You want to do everything so bad. And you just want to jump to that next level. And it can feel a lot like if you've ever went camping. And I remember as a kid, the coolest thing about going camping was making the fire. We get to have fire, especially like an inner city kid who, we don't have fires. If there's a fire, something's wrong. People need to be evacuated if there's a fire. But going camping, it was we're gonna make a fire, and stuff like that. And as a kid, you just wanted to see the flames burn more and more and more, and all of those things. And I remember running around and finding all the dried leaves and sticks that I could possibly find. You just grab big piles of that and just throw it on the fire, because you wanted to see that flame just burn so bright and hot, and it just goes whoosh. If you've ever had been familiar with making fires, you throw a bunch of dry leaves on a fire and it is gonna just and it burns this big flame. But the problem with that is that there's no sustenance to it. There's nothing to give a long burn. You throw all those leaves on it burns hot, it burns like a big flame, but within seconds, it's gone. And when then somebody would come along and be like, hey man, that's not how we're gonna build this fire. Some of that stuff helps at the beginning to get the fire started. you want the like small twigs, maybe even like a couple leaves or some kindling in there, and you want to put all that in there when you start the fire. But as you go, you want to add like thicker and thicker and thicker sticks onto that fire until eventually like you can put logs on it. And those logs, while they may not burn like wildfire, they burn steady and hot. And that can be how we handle our conversion stories into Christianity. We get so excited about the fire that's existing in our life, and we just start grabbing anything and just throwing it on. And before you know it, the fire's all burnt out, and so are we. And we're looking around just like, man, I don't even know. Like, where do I want to go with this? Like, I don't feel the same way that I felt when I first started this journey. And it takes a mentor or somebody to come along and say, hey, man, like, start to focus on what you're throwing on your fire. Like, you want to start building that fire into a way where it can be slow and steady. And that's what I was telling this guy. I was like, hey man, it's slow and steady. It's one step at a time. Like, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And you're not always going to feel the same way. When you run a marathon, like when you start the marathon, you feel way different halfway through, 3/4 of the way, or even at the end. And like sometimes like that is up and down. Like you might feel better on mile 3 than you felt on mile 2. But it is about that slow and steady and that persistence. And so I think that's so important and key for people who are especially new to the faith, which is like a lot of what I'm dealing with now, is like people who are either new to their faith or just starting to take their faith seriously or stuff like that. And like, it's like, man, dude, like, you gotta find like a place. And that's where it's like, it's almost like when the Bible talks about, and Paul talks about milk versus meat. Milk, like a ton of carbohydrate, sugars and stuff like that, and fat, and it's going to like sustain, but like you need like that protein. That protein is going to build the strong muscles and stuff like that. And it's like we just run for the quick, the easy, the now, and all of those things. And so we need to start focusing on the sustenance, the sustaining the fire, or else you're gonna burn your fire out. And that was one thing that I think I've learned a lot this year. And let me clarify that in a sense. Like, it's not to say that, my fire like burnt out, but to say that it's easy to become like a person who wants to be involved in everything, or like always saying yes, like always this and that, always that. And it's all about balance. Like, it's to think that like I had like a stretch of weeks where like I transitioned jobs. I was helping the new person move in to that position and helping to train him while working the other job, while doing the old job, and then going from that into like this like Girl Scout event, to camp all week, to preaching on Sunday, to getting ready now to go back into school. And you have to make sure that you're taking the time to put logs on your fire, or you're going to burn it out. Like, you're going to burn too much. And I think I had to start thinking more about what I'm throwing on my fire. Like, I can't do everything. You can't say yes to everything. And, people always tell you that, like, don't say yes to everything. Don't do this and that, like, pray on things. And I think, like, most of the time people do, but every now and then you have a person like me who's just like, I can do it. And I know, like, I can still do it, but is that the wise thing to do? Is that the right thing to do? And so the reason that can be tricky sometimes is because I've encountered a lot of people who, I like to think of myself like this, like not in like a prideful sense, but just like, one thing that's important to me is that I have a heart to serve people. And I think when you have a heart to serve people, you find yourself oftentimes or those people find themselves oftentimes overextending themselves or doing too much. And it's like, is the heart to serve a bad thing? No, I think ultimately that's what the Bible teaches. Like, even Jesus said, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and lay his life down as a ransom for many. Like, I think there is a servant's heart planted in each one of us who claims the name Christian, but also God wanting us, based on how he even like designed having a Sabbath, he designed us to do it in such a way that is healthy. And so that's another thing that it's almost like juxtaposed to the take baby steps, it's a marathon and not a sprint approach or philosophy or whatever you want to call it to your walk as a Christian. It is also important to understand that God desires a heart to serve from his people. He wants people who want to get down into the dirt and into the places with people that not everybody wants to go. And when I first started at my church, I was leaving another church where I'd done sound for years and years. My dad, as I was growing up in church, like, he was the sound guy. I grew up around sound. You know, that was what I like to do. Like, if, even to this day, like, if I had the choice, completely Kyle, you know, I'd be in the sound booth every Sunday. I wouldn't be doing all the other things that I'm doing. But when I went to the church, started coming to the church that I'm at now, I wanted to do sound, and I had this like renewed flame for my relationship with Christ, and I wanted to serve. I just wanted to serve somehow. However I could serve, like, put me in, coach, I'm ready to play, you know, all of those things. And I remember filling out connect cards or whatever, even talking to like the worship director at the time, like, hey man, I have like experience in sound, man. Like, if you guys need help, like, put me in the sound booth. I can do sound for you guys. Like, I'm available, I'm willing, I want to do it. You don't have to do a whole lot of training with me. Like, I already know a lot already. And just like, no matter how hard I tried, crickets. Like, just never heard back from them about it ever. So my wife, who is also trying to get involved, she ends up getting connected to the children's ministry and the woman who was running that. And so she goes, well, hey, you know, why don't you come and teach kids class with me every like other Sunday that I'm doing kids ministry? And I was like, I don't know. And then one Sunday, the pastor at the time, it's not the same pastor now, but the pastor at the time was preaching a sermon on, you know, David and how David was anointed to be a king, right? He was anointed to be a king. But even while he was anointed to be a king, he was out in the field taking care of sheep. And his first real task towards the big moment where he goes to defeat Goliath was to take his brother's lunch. And like, to think I don't know, an adolescent boy, probably a teenager at the time, who had just had like the major prophet of his time come and anoint him with oil to be the next king of Israel, to have him come and anoint you and then be told to take your brother's lunch, you know, that's a servant's heart. That's a servant's heart. And even though you feel or you know like God has more for you, sometimes you have to take lunch. You got to take lunch. And that was like an eye-opener for me. That was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? I'm trying, like, why am I so resistant to doing these other things? And then so I was like, all right, let's do it. I'm going to do kids ministry with you. And so her and I started doing kids ministry, loved it. I learned so much more from those kids than I think they ever learned from me. And God did so much in even our marriage doing kids ministry. And so at some point, one of the leaders in kids ministry notices how on fire I was, and I still am at the time, and just goes, we have this program, go ahead and do this program. It's a leadership program. I did the program. I end up going to the program, and through the program, I meet who is now our location pastor of the church that I go to. And that is really the beginning of his mentorship for me. And through that mentorship, I became the connections director, basically leading volunteers. I became a leader in the young adult ministry. I was able to then go through another leadership program to become a licensed reverend. And all of these things open up. And then one day, a friend of mine who was doing sound at the time said, hey, we could use some extra hands in sound. And I said, I know how to do sound. And I ended up doing sound. So then I still ended up in the sound booth, which is what I wanted to do in the first place. But it took me being willing to take lunch, aka doing kids ministry, which was not my passion. Doing kids ministry, which if I had not, would not have led to all those other things happening, even to me getting what I wanted in the first place, which was the ability to do sound at my church. And so that all goes to just show how important having a servant's heart is, because you may be trying to run a mile a minute. You may be thinking about oh, I know this and I know that is for me, and I deserve to have this, or I deserve to. No. You can't think that way. You can't think that way, because that's the quickest way to make sure that God keeps things from you. You have to be willing to serve in the places that you least expect it, because you never know when God is trying to form you into the person that you need to be to get to where you know you're called to be. And if it hadn't been for that path, there's so much that I learned along the way. There's so much that God did to me along the way that I use all of that in how I approach ministry today, even with the online stuff that I feel really, really passionate for. And I feel that's where a lot of my calling is. Without all the stuff that I've done at my church or done along the way, there's so much that I wouldn't have learned. I wouldn't know, that God would not have illuminated to me through people or the Bible or anything like that, to where, yeah, you can have a YouTube channel, but if you don't have anything to offer, what's the point? What's the point? So all that to say, I encourage each and every one of you who watch this video, who listen to this video, or whatever it may be, that, you're going to go through your seasons. And this was a busy season for me. And a lot of it has to do with the servant heart. But God will always if you're paying attention to him, he will realign you into a place that's healthy for you and healthy for your family. But just understand, this is not a marathon or a sprint, it's a marathon. And you might want to throw a bunch of sticks and leaves to make your fire burn brighter. But God is going to operate through the slow burn of just some nice logs that can burn for hours. And even though it's not as flamboyant or big as the sticks and the leaves, it is so much more impactful. That's the fire you can cook on. That's the fire that's going to burn all night and keep you warm. That's the fire that is going to have a purpose in your life. And on top of that, to pray and ask God for a servant's heart. Because a servant's heart is going to put you in a position of obedience and surrender to God, to where he's going to do things with you that you could have never imagined. I would never have guessed that I would be where I am, doing what I am today. It is all for God and my willingness to surrender to what He has for me. So I pray that for each and every one of you who watches this video. I hope y'all are encouraged, and until next time, stay blessed.